deluge. The hardest-hit areas included Luding County, Libo County, and parts of Ya'an and Ganzi prefectures. In some spots, weekly rainfall totaled topped 200 mm, pushing already unstable below catastrophic rainfall. Some locations have long been under alarm high-risk landslide watches, flagged by potential geological monitoring systems. The land of Jiangxi, China, has been gripped by a disaster of staggering proportions. A once fertile province, alive with the hum of villages and the rhythm of fields, has been reduced to a waterlogged wasteland. Torrents of relentless floodwater have surged across the countryside, swallowing entire communities in their path. From the shores of the Great Poyang Lake, the largest freshwater lake in China, waves of rising water have spilled outward, overrunning the very embankments meant to contain them. Villages that only days ago bustled with life now appear as lonely islands, isolated and adrift in a vast inland sea. The streets are no longer the domain of cars or bicycles, but of rescue boats and fishing skiffs, carving their way through what were once avenues of daily commerce. The human toll of this catastrophe is written across every submerged home and every abandoned courtyard. In the low-lying neighborhoods, walls have split under the pressure, floors have warped, and silence has settled over entire blocks. Families, faced with the rushing tide, fled with nothing but the clothes on their backs, leaving behind treasured possessions to be consumed by the creeping flood. The houses that remain stand as hollow shells, their windows dark, their doors broken, their stability undermined by water gnawing at the very foundations. Whole communities now live suspended in a state of displacement, relying on rafts to cross what once were their own front yards. Infrastructure has not been spared. Roads that once connected towns and lifelines of trade now vanish beneath thick, swirling currents. Bridges, battered by unrelenting force, have snapped or folded into the water, leaving nothing but twisted metal and splintered concrete. The hillsides, saturated with weeks of rain, have given way in sudden landslides, choking highways and burying routes vital to rescue operations. Power poles, dragged under by sodden soil, lean or collapse entirely, scattering blackouts across a countryside already plunged into crisis. Each fallen line is a strand of connection severed, each darkened village another community cut off from hope. The devastation reaches deep into the fields. Where once stood bright green carpets of rice paddies and orderly vegetable plots, now stretches a featureless sheet of muddy brown water. Young seedlings, the fragile beginnings of a year's labor, rot in silence beneath the surface. Hundreds of thousands of hectares lie ruined, the lifeblood of rural families extinguished in a matter of days. Small barns have been torn apart, irrigation channels obliterated, and farmers, who once bent their backs with the promise of harvest, now stare into the horizon with nothing but despair. This is not simply the loss of 29-year peak. It is the loss of futures, of generations of toil washed away in the span of a single season. The economic shockwaves radiate outward. Warehouses and workshops that line the rivers, once bustling with industry, now sit submerged, their machines drowning in rust and sludge. Delivery trucks remain stranded in lots that resemble lakes, their cargo long spoiled, their engines ruined. Market streets, once loud with bargaining voices and the scent of fresh produce, like a flood, stand silent. Shutters locked over wares, destroyed by mud and water. Each day that passes adds to the mounting cost. Businesses that survived the first wave of water now face the long agony of ruin as days stretch into weeks, and the prospect of reopening slips further from reach. Restarting trade, industry, and livelihood will not be the work of weeks, but of months, perhaps even years. At the core of this unfolding tragedy lies Poyang Lake itself. Its sheer size makes it both a blessing and a curse. This body of water, lifeline to millions, has turned merciless in its fury. As its surface swells beyond control, it spills into tributaries, driving rivers backward and overwhelming their banks. Vast swaths of reclaimed land, painstakingly won back from the lake's reach over decades, are now surrendered once more. Fields, schools, whole villages gone in the blink of a rising tide. To hold back the fury of the lake, authorities have opened diversion zones, deliberately sacrificing farmland to safeguard cities. These engineered floods, though controlled on paper, carry a human cost. Farmers watch helplessly as their land is condemned to drowning, their livelihoods willingly traded to keep urban centers dry. The destruction has not spared public spaces. Schools that once echoed with children's laughter now sit choked with waist-high water, textbooks floating among broken desks. Clinics and offices meant to provide care and coordination have become swamps of debris, their equipment ruined beyond repair. Burst sewage lines bleed filth into flooded alleys, while debris drifts aimlessly through administrative buildings designed to hold order amid chaos. Even the most basic utilities struggle to function. Water treatment plants are crippled, their systems overwhelmed, wells tainted with contamination. Drinking water must now be hauled in by tankers, each delivery a temporary reprieve. Meanwhile, power grids stagger under the strain, substations short-circuiting in the deluge. Repair teams work with unyielding determination, yet every step is slowed by sodden terrain and the persistence of unrelenting rain. The figures are staggering. Billions in direct losses are already recorded, crops destroyed, homes collapsed, factories halted. But behind the numbers lie human stories, of farmers who have lost their life's work, of families scattered from ancestral homes, of communities staring at uncertain tomorrows. Jiangxi has endured floods before, but this one cuts deeper, exposing the fragile balance between man and nature in these reclaimed lands. Here, the soil that once promised abundance is haunted by the constant threat of annihilation. As the waters slowly recede, the province faces an agonizing question: how to rebuild without repeating the mistakes of the past. The challenge is not merely to replace what was lost, but to rebuild with wisdom, with resilience, with foresight. The flood has stripped away illusions of safety, reminding all who live near Poyang Lake that nature's power cannot be contained forever. The future demands courage, innovation, and a recognition that fertile land often comes with a shadow, the shadow of sudden disaster. Yet even amid ruin, there remains a quiet resolve. Communities cling to survival, rescuers fight through the currents, and families hold to one another as their most enduring anchor. In the face of such immense destruction, the spirit of endurance endures, whispering that though the waters may rise, the will to stand again rises higher. Floods remind us of a double-edged truth: water gives life, but it can also take it away. Jiangxi's fertile lands promised abundance, yet those same reclaimed soils carried hidden risks, and when the lake rose, entire communities paid the price. It's like building a home at the edge of a cliff, beautiful, yes, but fragile when storms arrive. Still, the courage of those who endure shows us that resilience can outlast even the deepest waters. Maybe that's the lesson here. Prepare wisely, respect nature's power, and never mistake stability for permanence. Disasters don't only destroy, they teach us how to build stronger, smarter, safer lives. And you, what do you think? Should people keep living on reclaimed land or move to higher ground? Share your thoughts below. Or, if you're not sure, just leave comment number 1.
重置我呀！搞八卦一样重置我，不是我。你看，这我八卦一样不行啊！喂，重置我呀！